Hi, I'm from Toronto, Canada. My mom was in 2 long-term cares in Toronto, Canada until she was 93 and 11 months. It was quite an experience. They let you tour the home, and in a few minutes, they think that they've given you all the information about it. What you should know is that each floor has a charge nurse, and the charge nurse can change the care plan. You don't need to wait for an annual meeting. You should, be concerned if there's a lot of staff turnover and staff changes. Some regular staff are really good, but if there's substitutes, then the care is not as good and the resident can get agitated. My mom was locked down for 6 months during COVID, but she lived another 2 years and didn't die from COVID, but did die from lung disease. She had chronic obsessive pulmonary disease from smoking for 70 years. There are some great staff in long-term care, but you do need to keep a tab on things. You can change the menu, you can personalize the menu, you can ask for x-rays. So if you're concerned, the doctor at one place wouldn't even visit her. Like, they just go by what the nurses say to them and give medication. And another place the doctor visited and was very good, but even he overlooked that her potassium was too high. And so you have to make sure that things are followed up on. Sometimes they'll lose laundry. They usually clean the place. The place looks pretty good, but the staff are really overworked, and they usually have to take care of over 10 residents with one PSW, and sometimes the nurses will help, and sometimes the nurses just give medication. They spend a lot of time feeding them and cleaning them, but they don't spend a lot of time socializing with them, so a lot of them are just left on their own, and they're left in the wheelchair all day, and they're put in and out of the dining room, and unless it's specifically in the care plan, like to put them back in bed, and they don't really want to do that. They say use the call bell, and if you're dirty, then they will clean you. But when you do use the call bell and you say, your mom has had diarrhea, then they leave her like that for an hour before they change her. And I've heard staff say, well, we've left her for 2 hours before. Like, why should we clean her right away? Like, they seem to only want to change them one time a shift. And my mom had many urinary tract infections. I mean, they do put barrier cream in, but who wants to be left in that? And there's some residents who are sort of squeaky wheels, and if they keep asking for help, then they get it. But some of them who are quieter and just don't keep asking, or if they're bigger and they need 2 people to help them, and they have to wait. My mom called it the waiting game. They don't really take them on outings or anywhere, really. It's up to the family to do that, and unless they're really, happy in the wheelchair all day long, and so then they'll put them to activities, and only certain people seem to get activities that are brought forward as perhaps, needing it, but other people are just left to themselves, and sometimes they talk to themselves, and, there's a lot of videos put on, but they're not really put back in their room during the day. They're put in this area, just put in front of videos, and they're not allowed to watch videos all the time, so sometimes they just sit there and fall asleep or get bored, and some of them will think they need to go to the washroom, but they're not really allowed to go to the washroom, and they get very frustrated and upset, and staff won't really do much about it because they're busy doing documentation and other things. So it's really good to visit, and if you can visit every day, that's really good. They try their best in a lot of ways, but there just isn't enough staff, and the recreation staff quit, and went on pregnancy leave and they couldn't hire anybody else, so it wasn't the greatest situation. And then during COVID, there was many staff who went on leave, and then, the supply staff, it's usually agency staff, and, they try, but they don't really know the residents, and they're maybe not as good because they haven't been hired full-time. Although sometimes it's a better job to be an agency staff because they can pick and choose the homes they want to work in, whereas sometimes the homes that are available aren't the greatest homes. So you should really look into reviews and into the reports about the home, because a home is clean and looks good, and definitely the not-for-profit homes are better than the for-profit homes. I mean, there's always good staff everywhere, and they try to make it look good, and they put the front staff making it look good. But if you go behind the scenes, it's okay. Some staff are great, but there are problems.